Hello, I'm Kathy Bissell. Welcome to the Golf Show 2.0. Today we have a guest who has traveled literally everywhere. Gary, do you want to explain what he's been doing?
He sounds a lot like a sports writer because we all did that. We've got Ben Thapa, who's now an author. He's written a book. He's traveled the world, and he's got to be one of the only people, maybe in history, who's ever played golf on all seven continents, and that includes, where at the bottom of the world, which is unbelievable. And you've also visited every state capital in the U.S. You had a couple of missions here to accomplish. Ben, what started all this? I mean, when you tell people all the places you've been, their first question has to be, why did you do that?
That thank you for first of all, thank you for having me. Um, so whenever I started talking to people, when they ask, they always say, "What a unique idea that you had," and you completed. So the idea is to, for me, initially, I wanted to, um, from the very beginning, I wanted to actually. I'm one of the persons that actually enjoy the golf, obviously, and also like to travel. So combination of that, actually, this is what how I started. So um, I had traveled in the very early 90s in the East Coast, East Coast, and also in the mid 90s I did also in the West Coast. But I saw beautiful part of the countries. I wanted to actually go cross country, but I also enjoy the golf and playing golf. So the combination of that, traveling, playing golf, and the traveling, that's how I started my journey.
And how did
What,
you get the idea to combine the state capitals with that?
So the one of the things, other things is besides just the traveling and just the playing golf in the different state, I wanted to see the capital of each the state. So actually capital dome or the capital. So that's how I wanted to do. So each of wherever I went, all 50 capitals, beside the playing golf in the capital golf courses, I also visited the capital domes, yeah, or the capital buildings, yeah.
And you
so
started pretty far away, if I recall correctly.
That is correct. Very first, I started in Bismarck, North Dakota, and the mountain states have been always. I enjoyed, the coming from Nepal, and so I wanted to visit the mountain state first. Starting with the North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and those are still, I think, one of my favorite states.
I don't
That's
think any mountains in those states are going to compare to Nepal, do they?
no.
And not really, but it's still the idea is just of having an open space. Traveling is not as you're not in the city anymore. So I can give you one example. When I was in Bismarck, and I was driving down from Bismarck to um, Pierre, South Dakota, and there's a 208 miles, 108 miles drive I had to drive, and there's no, I didn't see any cars for almost 2 hours, right? So, but the one thing that came to my mind is, what happens? I'm a solo. Meaning I'm just driving by myself,
Yeah.
exploring, and I couldn't see any police cars, right? There's no emergency vehicle. So, but every once in a while, I see from the other side coming, like every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, other side of the road. But I still felt like that was, what happens if I'm in my car, I travel or something happens. So that's kind of, that was a little bit, it's kind of scary when you really think about driving by yourself. But at the same time, I always enjoyed all the views and it took my time. But it's enjoyed, driving around the mountain states.
Well,
Well,
after a week, they'll just find your bones picked clean by circling ravens. That's what would happen.
no, it'll be coyotes out there.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
What's amazing is a lot of Americans, they don't stress geography in schools anymore. You're one of the few guys I guarantee I can ask any state. You know every state capital now because you've been to them all, right?
Yes. I should know, and I know. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
we used to learn them in fourth
Yeah,
or fifth or sixth grade or something. So at one time I knew them all, but now
yeah,
You've
they've
forgotten
added
that.
extra states. They
What's the
added
yeah.
Hawaii
capital?
and
Ben,
Alaska.
what's the capital of Maine?
Augusta?
Yeah, it's a little town of
Yeah,
19,000. And when I was
yeah,
there,
yeah,
well, 10 or 12 years ago, the whole dome was that
yeah.
scaffolding all around the dome. They were redoing it.
So I can even, since you asked about the Maine Augusta, so it's a there's only one golf course in 9-hole golf course in Augusta capital. It's a Mountain View golf course. It's a very pretty, very nice. I know people there. I communicate with them, and but I did have to play because there are 4 golf courses I played. There's 9-hole courses. One of them was in Augusta, Maine. Yeah, that's a
Well,
beautiful. Yeah,
I can tell you about a British golf writer who the newspaper's travel person booked him. He was going to the Masters, and he flies and changes planes in Boston. And when he gets off the plane, she has sent him to Augusta, Maine, not Augusta, Georgia.
I knew that was coming.
And it actually, I think it happened to more than one writer too. But
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the Brits know even less about our geography than we do, if that's possible.
yeah.
But
Now,
I
Yeah.
was negligent. I didn't mention the name of the book and where you can find it. Let's talk about that before we go into all these continents you've played golf on, which is unbelievable.
Thank you. So, my book calls "My Golf Journey," and people, they can get into Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or even my last book, which is my publisher. There are three. These are the three places you can buy. You can look at my book landing page, but these are the one vendors. The people can go. And to get the book. Yes. Mhm.
you had another thing you needed to do at each course. You needed to play with somebody who was either from there or was a member there, depending on the kind of course it was. So you ended
Yeah.
up making a lot of friends.
That is true. So my one of the criteria obviously was whenever I played, wherever I played, I needed to play with either member of that club or the local players. So that's the one of, and because of I wanted to just to because of that, there are the 2 or 3 courses in just not in this US and also in the out of the country. When I did, I had to wait almost 2 hours in some of the, because of that, my criteria, I needed to play, I needed to get communicated. Yes. Mhm. And one of them is, I just remembered that was in Botswana, was the one of the country that I did.
Oh, goodness.
There was a
Okay.
local member I needed to play, but they didn't, members who had already started playing in the morning. I got there a little late. And then I had to wait almost 2 hours to play. Yeah.
Does that mean we're going to see golfers coming from Botswana now and playing maybe in the African tour? That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's
I'm
a
waiting
matter of
for that.
fact. So I invite them all here. Like same thing whenever I go here in the U.S. as well as where I played in the other countries. After we're done, I exchange my contact information. They contact me. They have come here. They have already played here at my course, but they internationally they will also come. They have all the contacts. So this is how I actually communicate, and actually very one way to really get in touch with all the people, and I always enjoy the communicating with them. So it's a great group of people. Yeah.
How many stops did you make on the continent of Africa, and how on earth was Botswana one of them?
Yeah.
So yeah, so Botswana. So I did that's a the course. There's only one course, Garbon golf course in Botswana. I met Robert actually and his Robert and his friends. The Robert was actually his daughter. She goes to university here in Florida, so they could speak English. So obviously that was very helpful and very helpful person, in general. And so I was able to, they were playing the league, and I was able to join the league to play. But I wanted to be, and they allowed me, meaning allowed me to play in the league. So I was happy, and I've been keeping in touch with them. He's one of them. We text. I usually use my WhatsApp to use
Yeah.
keep in touch with them. Yeah.
Did you know them already? And is that why you picked Botswana? How did you end up in
No,
Botswana?
no. So no, none of them. These places where I visited, no. So I never knew anybody where I traveled. My criteria is to play in the capital in the U.S. as well as the capital in the other countries. So when I go there, usually I send the email to them. I am coming. I introduce myself, who I am, and let them know if there is anybody, the members they would like to play. And usually when you give them a little bit introduction, everything, they actually like to they like that. They will members would like to play with me. So that's how I usually I try to reach out ahead of time. And there's always members, and the majority of, or most of them, they are. I will not know until actually I meet in person there. Yeah. Mhm.
What,
You
what
also
other
played
countries did you play in Africa?
So I did Botswana,
Egypt.
I did Namibia, I did in Mozambique. I also did to
Egypt.
South Africa, Egypt.
Okay.
So I
Egypt
did
you were
like
in.
yeah, Egypt was the very first one I did, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was actually very memorable. That was in 2012, and that was 2011 was in Giza, and that was there's a course very next to the Marriott hotel. It's owned by the Marriott, so that's how I ended up playing that course. It's a beautiful course.
I think you should give a plug out to Marriott Hotels because you said that's the only place you ever stay. Why is that? And I talked to you a while ago. I said you need to send a book to Marriott Company because they might be pretty happy about this. Tell
Yeah.
us about your Marriott connection.
So I've been with him since 1991 for a very long time. But so especially whenever I'm traveling, I feel always we when in the very beginning, me and my family started staying in the Marriott. I felt comfortable, everything. But after that, when it's easier in the U.S. and also especially overseas because they speak English, right? So sometimes
Okay.
when you go in a different hotels, a little bit the language barrier, and there's always comes. But I always felt very safe staying in the Marriott because they speak English, and also they are very always they always seem like they're friendly. And then that's the regions I always picked, and I always felt whenever I went, stayed in the Marriott, and I felt always safe and comfortable.
Oh, that's a good reason.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know being female, anytime I go to a place that I don't know, if there's a hotel chain that I feel comfortable staying in,
yeah.
I'm more likely to go there than not.
A-
I agree
absolutely.
100%.
You
Now,
never stay. You never stay at the Rusty Pelican Inn.
No,
where is
I
that?
have not
I
yet.
made that name up out of thin
Okay,
air.
I
Okay,
figured.
okay.
Yeah, just to clarify for viewers, Ben, you didn't just go on one trip circling the globe and knocked all these continents off at once. You
Oh,
went on a number of trips, and I forget what year you said you decided to accomplish this mission. But what year did you start? And you just made a lot of individual trips to put this together, correct?
that is correct. So I started in 2011, and the entire thing I finished in 2019. So we are looking at 8 years total. So so I did in the US. I did like about four states in each trip. Like if let's say for example, I went to the very first one was in mountain states, right? So when I went there, I covered the North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Nebraska. I do by region. So
Now,
that's
is
yeah.
Wyoming where you found the giant boot on the side of the road?
Yeah, that is actually front of the museum. It was a
Okay.
beautiful the cowboy boot. So it's almost 8 foot tall, very colorful. And as soon as I see that, I thought I have to take a picture, and I did. It's a beautiful. It was outside the museum, and It was a nice and a sunny day, so that boot looked very perfectly, really beautiful. Yeah, yeah.
Tell me you bought a pair of cowboy boots there.
So sorry to say I didn't, but
Yeah.
actually I wish I had.
The, I mean, the suspense is killing everybody. You played golf in Antarctica or swung some clubs and balls. There's not a golf course in Antarctica for you nuts who want to go play there. How did you get that idea to do this? How difficult was it? And were you hitting off ice or tundra? Or tell us about playing golf in Antarctica, because you may be the only human being who's ever done
Yeah.
that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so this was in 2013 March. I went to Antarctica for 2 weeks, and the idea was for me to bring a club along with me and be able to hit the ball, swing the ball, whatever I could, because I wanted to do on all 7 continents, and obviously Antarctica is one of the continents. So I still remember the day. It was March 15th. We were in a they would take us in a different landing like every couple of days, and one of the landings that was on March 15th. I was able to bring my club. I also had some kind of yellow golf balls as well as
Yeah.
the tee. I have all this everything I had brought from Virginia. So
What club was it? Was it like a 7-iron?
it was a 7-iron. So that was how I used it, and I was able to swing in the landing, and I did a chipping, and those are things. It was all in ice. Like it felt like it was ice hockey too. Yeah,
So
yeah.
were you able to retrieve the balls, or once you hit them, were they gone?
Yeah, no. So I was able to. We are not supposed to, because of they have all this restrictions. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to leave anything there, any kind of
Okay.
trash or anything. And that's
Okay.
after I hit it, I had to go and get them. Yeah,
Okay.
Wow.
That's
yeah.
amazing. Now, this is one of those trips where you head that direction somehow on planes and ships and everything, and you're there and you go back and forth and back and forth. And some days the weather's good enough to get you onto the Antarctic continent, and some days it's too rough. Is that correct?
That is correct. So I went starting with the bottom of the Argentina and the city
Yeah.
called Ushuaia. The Ushuaia is the
Okay.
southernmost city in the world, and also there's a golf course as well. So I was not able to play there, but I was able to go there, and they had a tournament going on. I was not able to play that day, but I did go. There. From there, it took 2 days, bottom of the Ushuaia to going to the Antarctic in the peninsula. So when
Okay.
you go there, it's a 2 days, and that's where the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean meets. So there's violent water in so because of that mist,
You were traveling by ship.
that is correct, and so and then it's a as probably as high as 18 feet the
Oh,
water, and the people just if you're thinking of the boat, it was just like the shaking really in hard, meaning just while we're walking it felt like we are drunk, obvious
yeah.
because of the it just
You're going
going
back and
so
forth and
back
back
and
and
forth.
At any point during that, did you think this was a dumb idea?
forth.
um, so I
The
never
ship
did.
might sink. And have you seen the movie Titanic? Were you looking out for icebergs? I mean, how bad did
Yeah.
it get?
Yeah, so it's you could it's really it was bad, and but it's in a kind of expected, right? And because the soiling was at 18 feet
Yeah.
high, the water would come there. We were not allowed to open the windows because water would come that high. Some people get panic. So I guess because of that reasons that we had to close all our windows in the side of the so it was a violent. It was people were throwing up because of all this, but it's
Sure.
a also this is a trip for your life, right? In a lifetime trip, and
Yeah.
then but once you go to the other side, the Antarctica other side of it's a much better. There's no violent water except all the ice.
Is
Okay.
that city in
Well,
South America the closest distance to Antarctica, or is there somewhere like in New Zealand that would be as close? Or I don't know
Yeah.
where there's a outpost on Antarctica. There probably aren't many.
So the from here, EGS, and from I am from here. So from traveling from here to it's much easier. But also they do call the Ushuaia the southernmost city. So basically because of that, I think that is the but obviously
Yeah.
you can go from different New Zealand and some other, right. But I think it's this because of that. That's what they call southernmost city in the world. So probably that is the
That's it. Well, let's not spend, I mean, I know you've spent a lot of time in Antarctica, but you went all over the world. So, for instance, another cold place, which wasn't cold when you went there, Juneau, Alaska. And you went there because it's the capital, but you also found a golf course with a special view.
Absolutely. So this was also I went in the summertime there because of the only summertime you can go and play golf too, right? Yeah, because otherwise the golf courses, they're not open. So in Juneau, Alaska, there's a 9-hole course. It's called Mineral Hall golf course, and that's why I played. But when I was playing there, I could see the Mineral Hall Glacier right behind the golf course. It was just a breathtaking and beautiful view. Just playing golf and seeing all this right behind you. It was a beautiful, beautiful feeling and a breathtaking view.
It is a breathtaking sight to behold. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And let's see what else you.
Well, Kathy, Juneau's a hard place to get to, right? You can only get there by water or by air, correct?
Yeah. There aren't very many, and a lot of Alaska doesn't have a lot of roads.
Yeah. So not many people have ever been to Juneau.
Oh, plenty of people have been to Juneau, certainly more than Antarctica.
Well, not many who've hit balls on 7 continents.
No.
Yeah.
It's not
So,
right off.
You may be the only one.
Drive your car in there. You gotta get a ride from somebody.
Yeah.
Where did you play where are some of the countries you played in Asia?
So I did in Cambodia. I did in the Philippines. I did in also Dubai, UAE. I did. I also did in Nepal, is where I'm originated from. Obviously, I played there. Some other countries, Japan, Korea. So there are some other countries I have played. Yeah.
And you took a special flight with your children?
That is correct. That is
Tell us
correct.
about that.
So my kids they were born here, so they had never been to Nepal. So it was a 2014. I took them, my oldest daughter and my son. We all three of us, we flew Nepal, and when we went there, and they met all my family members from my side of family, the relatives and their cousins, and we also went to a picnic and in there, and everybody had a great time. While we were there, we also went to the mountain flight to see the Mount Everest, and we were very close up to seeing the Mount Everest right there. It's a 1-hour flight, but it's just, I recommend anybody if ever go, if you visit to Nepal, one of the things you would like to do is just to go on the mountain flight for 1 hour. Just to see all the beautiful Himalayan range, including the Mount Everest. That was one of the highlight of our trip in Nepal. But we also went to safari in Nepal. I took both of the Monica and my daughter Monica and AJ son. They had also really, really good time. And one of the things you can do in Nepal when you visit, safari is one of those you really want to do it.
Did they learn the language at all growing up, or how did they react to being there?
So they when they were growing up very young, we started teaching. They knew a little bit, but not much. When they really gonna go to high school and college, they would not. But there were hard times for them. But my side of other, their cousins and everything. Usually they went to when they're in high school, they learn English. At least they were able to communicate in English, just in a way. they can, so not necessarily speaking fluently, but they were able to communicate. Yeah.
Well, before we run out of time, I want to hear the story about the crazy dog who would chase after golf balls.
Absolutely. So I was in it's in a Missouri. I thought I was in in Jefferson City, that is the capital of Missouri. Usually, I always take my I have my, beside on the phone, I always have a printout copies of where I'm going to play in a city, all the everything. So when I was driving there, I actually went to the wrong golf course. Rather than in Jefferson City, I ended up in a Holt Summit, which is just outside of that. So when I played, at the time, I also usually look up before I start teeing up. I look at the scorecard and then just to make sure all the address and everything. But I was really rushing that day, and then I ended up playing in the wrong golf course. So this course, so when I was playing, I played with Krish and Joey. They are the one of the very nicest people and friendly people. I have been communicating with them, and they are. Krish has been here in the DC too. So when we're playing, and then the funny thing is, so if you hit some ball here and there, just a rough or the not in the fairway. The ball was trained by one of his owners. Obviously, he's the owner is a golfer, lives in the property in the area. So he would go. The dog will go and grab the ball and put it back in the fairway. So that was a funny. That was a really kind of and well trained, and it's a really and that was not even if you don't hit the green and leave it outside in the rough, the ball will go, the dog will go and get the ball and put it in the green. It was a funny. I also, they are the Chris and Joey were the, one of the, really great people I had played with. And, but also, I had a really, really good round that, usually I'm a avid golfer. I'm a decent golfer, but I had actually in that course playing with them, and they really enjoy. I enjoy the company. I had almost five. I was shot almost 5 under, but it was getting dark, and I shot at this in the dark, and still able to shot 3 under. So that was a good round for me, and just a not just a round, but I enjoyed playing the Chris and Joey, and that was probably one of the reasons. Yeah.
Did you play that well, or was the dog putting your ball in perfect
That
spot?
is, yeah. Let me be clear. That is not the dog. I did have a really good round
Okay.
here. Yeah.
Okay.
But just to add, because once I was done playing there, and then I realized when I came at the hotel at night, and then I started looking at all the paperwork and the scorecard. Then I realized I played in the wrong golf course. It was not in the capital.
That's
So what
funny.
I had to, yeah. So what I had to do was the next day I went to Jefferson City, and I played with Tom and his friend there in a different course in Jefferson City.
Now, who are the people with the rock, paper, scissors?
So those are I played the four Korean gentlemen from in Sacramento, California. So it was early in the morning. I had an early tea time, and I joined them. So the tradition was like so once you hit the ball, when you're putting, if you miss your putt, or if you are made the putt, you are safe. You don't need to purchase it. But if you miss the putt, whoever is the last one to holds out, they had to get a balls for all the golf balls from the cup,
Okay.
and then they had to give it to everybody, and they had to do the rock scissors game. And it was a really, really funny the way they did it. And after 2 or 3 holes, I got used to it. I started doing the same thing.
Well,
I think that's
you
amazing.
played on 7 continents. You've done all there is. Have you talked to Elon Musk about possibly playing golf on the moon using SpaceX?
Maybe I
That's been
should.
done.
Maybe I should, right? And I have not, but so this has been a great, great journey for me. Not just the playing, obviously, just the playing golf and taking all the trips, but in meeting people, just in the U.S. and throughout the world. It has been a great experience, and communicating with them. and I have been communicating with them. So they some of them have already visited and come here and play. But it's been a great pleasure knowing all of them, just playing and visiting other places. Not just that, but meeting people and having that connection with all that. That's been the gratifying story, and for me, yeah.
You're going to
Well, I
spend so
think
much money on Christmas cards. It's incredible.
Yeah.
and stamps.
That is true. Yeah. So wherever I have been sending, and once I come, so I have been sending them all 50 capitals, all the friends, and then I'll do the same thing with all the countries where I played with them. So it's a one way to get in touch with them, but also not just meeting them, also their families, and when they come, they bring their families here as well. So it's a having that connection, meeting people and having this all those so that way it's always a pleasure just to have that good feeling, what not just like I said, not just the traveling and playing golf, just having that connection with the people and meeting people.
Yeah, it's a one of a kind story you have. And if you're watching this, check it out. My Golf Journey by Ben Thapa on Amazon.com. Guy hit golf balls in the Antarctic. What more do you need to know?